Hello Flat Out family and welcome to the channel. I'm super excited today because we're going to be installing our very first product on the Ram Mega Cab build since the suspension, wheels and tires obviously, but I guess I'm going to personally be installing this product. Now this product did come from CJC Off Road. There will be a link in the description that goes directly to this product, so please do support CJC Off Road, and their price is the same as everybody else, so it doesn't really matter. The shipping is very fast and the order fulfillment is almost instantaneous. So what this is a steering box brace for the Ram 2500 and 3500 trucks, and essentially what it is a nice big bar that mounts to your frame underneath your sway bar. And then it attaches to the bottom of your steering box using some very nice high quality hardware. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. Now, I did have the rough country version on my old Ram 3500, the first truck from this channel. This Synergy setup seems to be a step up, but it adds, like I said, a greasable fitting to the bottom of your steering box to help prolong the life of the steering box, you know, prevent any slop or play in the steering, and help tighten up the steering after you put on some bigger wheels and tires like this. So we're going to be putting this on in the first section of the video, then I'll be taking the truck out for a drive to see if there's really any noticeable difference and decide, is this really worth the price? One disclaimer that I do want to give you guys is all work should be carried out by a professional, even though this is a relatively simple install. For example, this requires a 1 3/4 inch wrench or deep impact socket to torque this to the correct specifications. And even with all these sockets, I don't have the correct one. So we're gonna run to Napa real quick. So I made it back, and Napa actually ended up not having what I needed, so I had to go to the wonderful Harbor Freight begrudgingly and pick up this 18-inch jumbo adjustable wrench just for this pitman arm thingy. Real quick, before we get started, I just want to admire the welds on this guy. Synergy did a really good job of putting a nice clean weld on there and a really nice powder coat job. So we're gonna get on to the video now that we have all the parts. All you need now is a 15mm socket with whatever driver you want to use. I'll be using my Snap-on CT761. We'll be using this for the pitman arm. We're gonna use a little bit of blue thread locker, and we'll get into the install.
Alrighty guys, so like I said, super actually simple. We're gonna remove the sway bar with the 15mm driver. Watch when you pull these down because the sway bar could swing down. I don't want anyone to get hit in the face. Like that. So we'll let the sway bar down nicely and just kind of let it droop down like so. Once the sway bar is down, you want to get the new big wrench we just got and see if we can break this guy loose. There we go. Spin him off by hand. And that's exactly why I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a specialty tool just to loosen that one nut and washer. Now the kit comes with 2 lock washers depending on the year of truck. I'm going to be using the bigger one for the 2018, and then we're going to get our pitman arm locking nut. And I'm also going to throw a little bit of thread locker blue on it, just for good measure. Now, the torque spec on this guy is 185. Obviously, since I had to buy that huge wrench just to install this, I don't have a socket big enough. So I'm going to just kind of wing it. Since the nut that we took off was pretty easy to do just by hand, I'm guessing that this guy will be relatively easy just to kind of snug on there by hand, but it's always good to add a little thread locker and obviously recheck all your nuts after you've driven about 100 miles. Let's give that one more good. Okay, I think that'll be good to go right there. So next what we're gonna do is kind of take this and kind of do an up and under little move and line up these two guys here. And at this point we're just snugging these up so that this is still movable. Moving swiftly along, our next step is going to be to thread a washer onto this bolt that they provide with the kit on the back side. We thread it from the back. Then we're going to put a washer along with one of these nylon braided nuts on the bottom side, just to keep that all nicely in place. One of the final steps is going to be to install this little retainer, and this lip goes up over there. The lip goes towards the top to kind of hold everything together, kind of work it on there. And then I found that the 7/64 Allen key was the correct one to just kind of snug that guy down. And then last but not least, we can put our 17 mil back on. And there we have our installed steering stabilizer. This is a grease cert here, so if you do have a grease gun, you can go ahead and re-grease it here. I used to do my old one once every 6 months. But again, like you can see, we just connected both frames, added this pitman arm brace here to the bottom, and it fits very nicely, very flush, doesn't look out of place whatsoever. So we're gonna see how it drives.
One more thing I want to give you guys a sneak peek. If you're into the tools and the install type of stuff, I just picked up this Milwaukee. It's model 2863, I believe. It's an electric 1/2-inch drive, and because I had a couple of things that this 3/4 or that 3/8 wouldn't take off, and that 3/8 wouldn't take off, so I will be doing a video on this as well. So, a couple of things to touch on before you drive. I always like to keep my stock parts just while I still have the truck, so I just used a little plastic tub that actually my dad gave this to me, so that's nice. And then I always put away and clean my tools rather than just leaving everything in a big mess. Again, this doesn't have to be an ordeal. I just like to kind of inspect the tools, make sure we didn't get any dirt or oil or grease that we're going to be introducing into the toolbox. Everything was used pretty minimally, so I'm not super worried about that. And the CT71 is still in good shape, so actually we'll just give them a quick wipe down. Sit rep, guys. I went on a little cruise, and I definitely feel like there's less of a steering wheel wander, particularly coming out of a curve back to kind of the center position. It wasn't bad before, but particularly obviously with a much bigger tread wall, obviously with a much bigger sidewall tire, there's a lot more play than the kind of the lower profile stock wheels. And I didn't have a bad wander before, but I definitely can feel that it's tighter coming out of a corner, especially a sharp turn, you know, like a 90-degree turn. So I like that. Either way, whether you're stock, leveled, or lifted, anything that you can add for a relatively low price to prolong wear parts, such as the steering system, is worth it in my opinion. Anything under $200 that you can add that's gonna save you, you know, if this adds 10,000 miles to your steering box, to your pitman arm, everything in your front steering setup, you know, I really don't think you can go wrong. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to sell you a batch of snake oil. This is not something that's gonna instantly just change your life and you're gonna get in this and drive it and it's gonna be like you're driving a race car. It's still a lifted, leveled, or stock size heavy duty truck, but I'm confident in telling you I felt a measurable difference, particularly when doing a 90-degree turn in the steering wheel. Now, your mileage may vary depending on what tires, wheels, setup you have. Obviously, I still have a stock sway bar, so if you have the Carli sway bar, thing like that, you know, your mileage may vary. Again, you want to make sure that you torque this back down to spec after your first 100 miles of driving. And please, if you don't feel comfortable with something like this, do consult a mechanic. So, thank you guys for watching. Please do, again, support CJC Off Road. The link for this product will be in the top of the description below. A huge thank you to those guys for always helping me out with these diesel builds. They do get very, very costly. At least when I'm spending a ton of money, to be met with a smile and a friendly face like the guys at CJC Off Road, it does make it a little bit easier to stomach. So with that being said, please do subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, if you're interested in the Mega Cab build, and I look forward to seeing you next video.